Hello and welcome to the Dark Mount video review for FansProject's Function X-04 Sigma L, or not Mindwipe. In his beast mode, Mindwipe is a bat. A very fat bat with a coffin on his back. You can pose him forward, kind of like I have him here, perched on his wings. Or you can put him more in one of these types of poses. It's totally up to you. For some size comparisons, sorry, just need to fix the legs. Stand a little better. Here he is next to Weird Wolf, or Quadruple U. Here he is with Code. And here he is with Smart Robin. For bat articulation, you're basically just working with the obvious. You have... I'm going to disconnect that. You have this motion on the wings. You have inward and outward motion here. You have bend here, and a bend here, and the bend here. You have leg movement, and right here I had a bit of an issue. If you can see, there's two different pin joints here, and this one is on a ratchet, and as you can see from this other leg, it really barely moves. It goes from there to there. That's like all the movement you get out of that joint, which is kind of strange if you ask me. However, when I first opened mine up, this ratchet joint would not move. This one clicks back and forth, and that's it. This one would not budge, and I ended up forcing it a little bit too much apparently, and I made a small crack there, so it's a little loose and it doesn't ratchet anymore. It's not terrible. It doesn't like destroy posability for the figure or anything. I just have to be more conscious about how I pose it. And while it was kind of semi-defective when I got it out of the box, I'm not really that worried about it. I would just say keep that in mind. If you do get it out of the box and it's kind of stuck, don't force it, because apparently these pins can break the plastic. I'm probably going to try to just apply some glue to that. Maybe might even try warming up the plastic and just melting it back together, since it is very thin plastic. Might be able to do that. Can't really get it to focus on this tiny little bit, but the crack is right there. So the only problem is that it just makes this a little floppy. These right here also kind of moves back and forth, but it's very tight and it hits into stuff in here, and I don't really think it's intended to be used for actual articulation. And it does tend to pop this stuff out, so. And that's really about it. I mean, other than his head and his ears. You don't have that much going on in terms of the animal mode. Obviously you can see he has some pretty cool detail on the insides of his wings, and he's got a lot of kind of speaker looking stuff just for his mind controlling, presumably. And he comes with these two space shotguns. Kind of a very classic shotgun up front with this kind of rounded space blastery looking back to it. It's very cool looking. And they do articulate upwards. To pull this guy's Headmaster unit out, he's going to want to turn him around, fold his head back like that. Probably going to want to just move the wings to get them out of your way. And this whole back section here will split in half. And then you can just grab him. And bring him out. And here you have the Headmaster. Is not standing straight. And as with all of the Function X Headmasters, he's great. Sorry. To transform him, just want to pull out the visor like that, and then fold all of this back, pretty standard, and flop the visor down, and then you have his head, which is very nice looking, if you ask me. To transform this guy, if you haven't already, start by folding his head forward and splitting the back. You're going to want to move these wings out of your way, like so. And then you want to disconnect these arms from the legs there, and then disconnect the legs from the torso. You want to fold the legs down and continue to fold them out like so. This is the front, so you're going to want to spin that around. And then these bat legs, you want to fold these in like so, and then fold them into the legs. And then pop the foot out, fold this around, and it will connect in like that. Same thing on the other side. Pull the foot out. And you do sometimes have to mess around with this double joint to get it to work. There we go. that you have all that, you can fold this down onto his chest. Unfold his arms. His fingers just kind of peg in around these little bands here. And straighten those out, spin them around, spin the hand around. And for the most part, there you have the transector combined. Though for whatever reason he does not want to stand right now. Ah, his foot was not straight. That would do it. And now we can grab his Headmaster, plop him on in there, grab his weapons, plop them in there, and we are good to go. There we have Mindwipe in his robot mode. Or Sigma L, rather. And for Function X size comparison, here he is with Smart Robin, Quadruple U, and Code. So he's definitely a little bit bigger than the rest of them. The wings definitely make him bigger than the rest of them, but even without them, he's about a head taller. You can display his wings in many different configurations due to the variety of different joints that are available. You can fold them up forwards, you can fold them up backwards. Personally, while I do like the spread wing look, this is interesting. What I have taken to doing is actually bending the wings downwards, which obviously is a personal preference kind of thing, but I just enjoy the way this looks for some reason. And it also takes up a little bit less room on my shelf. But that said, having the wings up and out does look really awesome. I do have the issue that a couple other people have reported where the wings in certain configurations do kind of weigh the arms down. That is unfortunate, but these are ball joints, so I can tighten those up if I want to. And like I said, I am mostly going to be, I think, displaying this figure with the wings pointed downwards, so it's not so much of an issue there. It's only really when you have the wings out at their full, whatever that would be, spread. And just to do another size comparison with his wings down, here he is again with all of the Function X crew. For articulation, you have a very tight head swivel. You have ball joint in the shoulders. You have these wings on the myriad of joints that I've gone over before. You have double jointed elbows. Wrist swivel because it is on a ball joint. You have waist rotation, upper leg rotation, knee bend, and ball jointed feet. And that's it. My final thoughts on this figure are that he's very, very good. I will not go as far as to say that he is great, and that is only because he is in the Function X line, and he's up against figures like Code and Smart Robin and Quadruple U, and those figures just blew my socks off, to be perfectly honest. They're some of my favorite Transformers that I own. This guy is a very, very good figure, but I have a couple complaints and a couple issues with him that I did not have with the earlier guys. The first one is more of a nitpick, but the other figures in the Function X line did a really good job at having really interesting transformations. They did really, really kind of just fascinating things. This guy does not so much do that. There's not really anything that's like, wow, that's really awesome how they engineered that. It's not easy. It's not necessarily just like a simplistic like blah transformer, but it's not especially challenging either. It's a satisfying transformation and it's fun. It's just not especially inventive like the other figures were. So that's a little bit of a dig. The other issue that I have is the leg problem. That's partly QC and partly my fault. I shouldn't have forced it, but I also shouldn't have had to force it because it should have moved in the first place. So, meh. Other than that, the only other really like complainty type thing that I can say is that I don't like the fact that his back is kind of hollow, but I don't really display my figures from behind anyway, so that doesn't bug me very much. And they did a really good job at not having any hollow bits or anything on this figure, so I will give that to them. The Function X line is very clean. Doesn't have a lot of stupid cable hanging off. The only other real complaint that I could make, and again this is kind of more just a nitpick, is that I wish that there was a way to kind of drape these around kind of like a cloak, and that's really the closest that you can get, is just having it up like that. There's no real way to have it kind of cloak around him, which would have been really cool if they could have just added one more joint in there somehow, or even figured out a way to get these arms to flip around so that these could kind of drape around him like a cloak. That would be pretty neat. But there's already a lot of points of articulation in those wings, so I'm not going to complain too hard. That's about all of the complaints that I can muster. So, like I said, the only reason I don't say that this guy is a fantastic figure is really just because of how fantastic the other figures in the Function X line are. The fact that he is slightly less ingenious, I guess is the proper word, makes him stand out as being less ingenious. He's probably still better than a lot of third-party figures. I mean, it's hard to compare between different manufacturers, to be honest. I don't really like comparing like Make toys to FansProject toys or TFC toys, etc. Compared to the other Function X toys, this guy is a slight step down. But I use the word slight in the most literal meaning. It is very, very slight. He is still a fantastic figure. I'm very happy to have him in my collection. His coloring is great, his details are great. Everything about this guy is great, so I wish he was a little bit more inventive in terms of his transformation, but I kind of wish that about most Transformers, so I'm jaded there already. I definitely enjoy him, and I definitely recommend him. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.